It's 5:10 now, and I'm on my way to the Pasar. Not been for a few weeks. I've been in Jogja for one reason. Actually, last week I set off and I'd forgotten my ID and my bank card, so I had to turn back, and it was getting late by the time I got back. But you can see here's the sun coming over the mountain, or the mountain ridge by us, and over the cowshed. Yeah, and the sun is really appearing now behind those mountains. Yeah, it's quite beautiful, isn't it? I'm a very lucky man, you know, to live in such a wonderful place, and maybe that's why I do this walk every 5 days, to remind me of how blessed I am, how blessed we all are. Now there's a one-piece flag flying all the way up here in the mountains in Gurunkeedle. You still see a few, you know. And yesterday in the next hamlet to ours, a lady hung herself. Now we have no idea of the reasons why. Her husband's working, she's only 29, got 3 children. Her husband's working away in Surabaya, and maybe it's to do with him, you know. But I think it's probably that almost everyone up here has taken out bank loans, and the banks are now putting everyone under immense pressure to repay the loans, and a lot of people simply can't do it. So was it money troubles the reason why she hung herself? I think there's a strong possibility. I don't want to accuse it. Well, here's a new Juggalo style home being built. Yeah, very interesting, isn't it? So it's going to be a traditional home, I assume. It's not simply, no, it's not a juggalo, it is a home. Wow, that's very interesting. Often, you know, the most expensive parts of this are the windows, because the teak costs so much money, and teak is used because the termites don't eat it. Now, the lady who hung herself, in fact, Gurunkeedle here, has the highest rate of people hanging themselves of anywhere in Indonesia. And he's blamed on the pochon, the ghost, telling people to do it. And we've also had an outbreak of toil. That's the creature that steals money, and quite a lot of money has gone missing from a number of people. I can't help but wonder if these stories of pochon and toil are spread by people like the banks to take attention away from their part in putting people under such immense pressure that, to my mind, society is breaking down here because people are under such terrible financial pressures. And you know, I'm blaming the banks, but I was only reading yesterday that the banks are awash with money and can't loan it out, can't make loans. And I suspect the reason is that people took loans out during the health crisis and now can't repay them, so they're not going to get caught out again. But that's clearly pressure coming from the Bank of Indonesia. So, you know, they'll have made those decisions based on what is seen as economic logic, what is seen as an economic necessity to stimulate the economy by increasing loans, without a thought of the destruction that's being caused to the common man. Well, you could hardly call it a dry season this year, but This is a scene we don't often get because there's normally too much vegetation. So, even though it's not a dry season, it enables us to see this. And it goes down this valley that I often comment is one of the nicest views I get on my walk to the Passar. And again, you can't see it in the rainy season because the vegetation's too high. But you see how we can see down the valley here now, and that goes down the valley towards Jogja. So yeah, this is the valley I spoke of, looking towards Jogja, and it's quite magnificent, isn't it? And again, you know, just repeated myself, but it's not something you can see in the rainy season due to the vegetation. Actually, on screen it doesn't look as steep as it does in real life. But it's, yeah, it's going down to the main road, and then looking further, that's towards Jogja. Do you know, this is turning into something of a vlog, isn't it? It was only meant to be shorts, but maybe I'll put them together as a vlog. I'll do it as both, you know. But a bit of tension for us at the moment is that we used to get our water, our big aqua, from a local store, and they've lost the contract to supply it, so we now have to get it from Alpha down the hill, well, where I'm walking to now, and we have to order it online, and often the system doesn't work, and as a result we get very close to running short of aqua quite regularly, which can't be in the interest of the people, can it, you know? So these decisions are being taken in Jakarta all the time that severely affect country people. And the other thing that's going on that's causing problems to, well, everyone in Indonesia, and that is about 2/3 of ATMs have disappeared. So it's becoming really difficult to get your hands on physical cash. And I mean, that's one of the reasons I'm going down the mountain now, to get some cash. Because, you know, everything is paid for in cash here. And quite honestly, the phone signal isn't good enough for any of the supposed alternatives to work. But the banks and the government are rushing headlong to a cashless society. But it won't be cashless here, it'll just be, well, to be honest, if they completely do it, they'll go back to barter here. Now, I've been worried about them doing away with cash for a long time. I mean, I've even been told by the banks that you'll no longer be able to get money out of an ATM and you'll have to go inside. Well, already the queues are sort of, you can easily be an hour in a bank. So can you imagine every time you want some cash having to wait an hour? And that's the sort of thing that happens here in Indonesia. So I've been keeping quite a lot of money in both houses, but money's gone missing in, quite a lot of money's gone missing in Jakarta. Now that's been blamed on a toil. Parkano seemed to think it was one of Nera Blorong Zula. Now I don't know, but that's a consequence. And this is a scene I don't often bother with. These are the traditional farmhouses. You can see them much better, you know, without the vegetation. And, you know, I was just walking now and thinking, God, you don't take notice of them, but it is absolutely gorgeous where you live. You are lucky. Very lucky to live in such a beautiful place. Yeah. And of course, if you look at Thailand and Vietnam, they're freezing people's bank accounts. Again, without any thought of how those people are going to survive without access to money. And, you know, it's a constant worry, isn't it? A constant worry. What is the next trick that's being planned? The next bit of manipulation that's being planned on the common man, and how can the common man guard against it? And I'm not certain that they can, but you know, doesn't mean to say we have to accept it, does it? Now, I've said a few times before, but I used to teach at a major international business school. And if you look at the decisions being taken by business now, they're neither in the interest of the business nor of the people. Just recently I left my favourite hotel in the world, the Hotel Phoenix in Jogja. But they played some nasty tricks on me to use my cash flow. And when I complained, they just quoted me their regulations. Well, we've resolved it, but you know, we're going to try other hotels. They've lost my loyalty as a result. So them thinking they were being so businesslike and so clever in using my cash flow to support their business, they've lost a loyal customer there. Now, yesterday I watched a vlog by a fellow Brit, fellow Englishman, on bricks, and he was very, very anti-bricks, suggesting that anything that harms the US economy harms the world. And you know, 20 odd years ago, I guess he was spot on there, or even today there's a grain of truth in it. But what it misses is the fact that most countries, including Indonesia, have had enough of being pushed around by American interests, by the terms of trade being so fiddled that these countries pay for America's wealth. Now, I'm not wishing to suggest that the BRICS and the countries that are members of the BRICS are paradigms of virtue. I mean, let's face it, all these alliances are alliances of the rich, and the real battle that's going on is the rich against the common man, you know. So the BRICS against the West is simply a battle between wealthy groupings, you know. Whatever the outcome, it's always the common man that suffers. And indeed the same is true of war. The rich and the elite, they start the wars, but it's the common man who fights and loses their life. Now, I'm sure you're shouting at me and going, well, what are you proposing? You know, this has been tried here and it doesn't work and blah, 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 blah. I'm not proposing anything. Now, whatever it is you think I'm proposing, it would be illegal for me to mention it in Indonesia. But that isn't what I'm proposing. I'm not. I'm providing a critique. But it does strike me that why are we not allowed to even talk about it in countries like in Indonesia? You know, why are we not allowed to discuss alternatives? Because of, certainly you could see the outpouring, was it a month ago, of real frustration. And of course the lady hung herself yesterday. And I can hear the azan as I'm walking along, so somebody else has died, probably old age, you know. It'd be wrong to say that it was another person hung themselves. But I want to make it clear, I'm a Muslim. I'm not allowed to be political in this country. I don't have a vote, and whatever I express that's political would be really looked at, you know, even though supposedly it's a country with free speech. No, I'm a Muslim. All I'm thinking about is, how did God want us to live? And I'm sure it's not like this. I'm sure it's not like this. And for some of you listening to this, particularly in the West, you'll be saying, oh, he's a Muslim. Well, let me just be 100% clear that everything you want to criticise me for my beliefs, I don't believe them. And that's not what real Muslims believe. You know, it's all been manufactured. It's been manufactured to pit Muslims against, well, they're not even Christians, but people who call themselves Christians, you know, and it's all being manufactured. That's not what Muslims believe. That's not how Muslims are. That's not what I believe. That's not my belief system. No, it's being done to create purpose divisions in society. Now, I said about Muslims not holding the beliefs you're told they have. Of course, some Muslims do believe that that's how Muslims should believe, and we've got one that lives here. He thinks I'm the same as him, so he always makes a point of saying hello to me. But that masjid, I think it's just a mashola that I've just shown you. He's so scared the people of going there, accusing them of this and that, and being so strict, that Mas Perwan no longer goes. He goes to our masjid. And the paradox is, our masjid is Muhammadiyah, which is meant to be stricter. And I'm sure that mashola is NU, which is meant to be more liberal. So, you know, don't make assumptions about what Muslims think, because most of us don't. But we do think, but not like that. I was thinking the Basinko wasn't here. Oh? Yeah. Isn't she lovely, eh? Makes it worth coming to see her. Yeah, see her smile. Always smiling, yeah. You'll have to believe me that I'm no longer at all political. I'm really not. And what sparked this, and we need to keep it in mind, that a lady who's 28 years old hung herself yesterday, leaving her husband and 3 children. And there is something very wrong in a society where this is, okay, it's bound to happen, but up here it's quite a regular occurrence. And there's something wrong, isn't there? Something very wrong about the way we organise things that means that such things are commonplace. And that's my message. And I suppose to reiterate my main point, look, it's beautiful here. It's absolutely wonderful. And a lady who lives just up this mountain chose to hang herself yesterday. So it seems to me that God created paradise for us to live in harmony together, and man created hell. Such a hell that this poor woman took her own life yesterday. That's not political. That's a moral statement.